Hello and welcome back to our Push Past 10 platform. I am Simone Matthew, and as you already know, with an average of about 18,000 visitors a month, we are your number one source for motivation, inspiration, for promoting and celebrating who we are as Dominican people and of people of Caribbean heritage. So we promote and celebrate everything from our people's books and their products and their services to their inspirational stories. So come on in, Push Past 10 Nation. Again, I am Simone Matthew, and we have another wonderful guest for you today. Today, we are joined by Mr. Anthony Toulon, and he's going to tell us about this very important book that he wrote, which is now a number one bestseller on Amazon, The Gardens of Athenia, volume number 2. And we also have Athenia, who will join us in a little while. So come on in. Don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we're here for another wonderful opportunity to promote and celebrate who we are. So let us go ahead and invite Mr. Anthony Toulon to the program as he introduces himself. And I think he just got up for a minute. Anthony, are you with us?
Okay, so
there you are.
Yeah, good evening. Well, in Dominica, it's 5 o'clock. I'm not sure what time it is by you in the States. And I'm very glad to be on your show. It's the first time. And I am a multi-purpose individual. I'm born here in Dominica. I was educated at the St. Mary's Academy. I did 5 years there, and from there I went to the sixth form college. I did 2 more years, and then I went to work for the Inland Revenue, the Income Tax Division, under the supervision of my father, who is deceased, Francis Anthony Toulon, and a tax inspector from England called Mr. George Busfield. And I'm saying all this because I was supposed to become a taxman like my father, but somehow it didn't quite go with me. I was very good at the work. I was supposed to go to England and do the taxation course. And instead, in 1976, I had a very big experience. My spiritual search and journey began properly, really began properly, when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi from the TM movement sent down teachers to Dominica. And one day out of the blue, I heard that at the St. Jared's Hall, there was going to be a lecture on transcendental meditation, and the teachers were here, and they were looking for people to start. And Simone, I was absolutely overjoyed. I was absolutely overjoyed because my life was moving in that direction. My life was steadily moving in that direction. And I went to the meeting at the St. Jared's Hall, and I looked at the teachers, and I saw them glowing with light, glowing with light, glowing with purpose. And I felt very happy, and I knew that I was going to do the right thing. And on, I think it's a Sunday, the 17th of January, I was initiated into transcendental meditation, and it was a big experience. For me, it was a very big experience. I had an experience of expanded consciousness and bliss, and I laughed. You know, it was just really wonderful. And then a few days later, when they were doing the check-in, I had another big experience of bliss, and I laughed from the hall where they were checking right across to my home. So with that in mind, I started, and I discussed this in the book. And at this point, probably I should show you what the book cover looks like. Let me see if I can get it into the screen. Here. It's called The Gardens of Athenia, Volume 2, the autobiography of Anthony Leo E. Toulon. And I must say quickly, there is a section in it, which is my daughter, we'll see her in a while, Attainea Shadia Toulon, has a poetry. Why did I put Athena's poetry there? I found it was very unusual. Athenia actually started composing poetry at 6 years old. And I use the word composing because she was unable to write the thought, but she was thinking the thought. And she would dictate it to me or her mommy, and we would grab a piece of paper and a pen and write it down. You know? So I wanted her to share the platform with me. And it's a big book. You can see the size of it. And this was a very big project. This was a very big project. And we were battered by Hurricane Maria in 2017, and we lost data. We had things get wet. And then Campbell, which is also storing data for me, they were doing a lot of the transcriptions, they were doing scanning of photography and stuff like that, duplication of material, production of print. They were very badly flooded, very badly flooded. Downstairs went to, I think, 9 feet of water, and they lost a substantial amount of data, and about 2 years later, they recovered it. So this year, Simon, we were able to recover the lost data, and I decided that that was it. We were going to accomplish the project. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that a project of this size and this magnitude and this quality could not be produced by me alone. So there was a team. And in the acknowledgement section of the book, I acknowledged the team members who were there. You know, there's of course Athenia, there's of course my wife, you know, who made sure my lunch was there in time. And there's the designer, and then there's the IT, I had 2 IT techs, and then my secretary, Miss Priscilla James, who's a wonderful person, you know. After a while, she knew where everything was in the book, you know. And it's, you know, somebody looking at this would say, oh, that's probably 2 or 3 months' work. No.
Yeah, so I can tell we have a lot to cover, and you'll be happy to know that Daryl Toulon is already on the Facebook Live. So we want to say hello, Daryl. Hello, Elizabeth Thomas is also with us. So don't forget to share the live. Attainea, I went ahead and sent you the 2 links. Remember, we're live on Facebook as well as YouTube. So you talk about these experiences, Anthony, that seem to have changed the trajectory of your life. So let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about that a little bit more, how you initially were going to pursue a career in taxes, but it's almost like you got a calling to change the direction of your life. And I know one of the experiences that you relate well is a journey to India. So can you tell us a little bit more about it? And then we want to get into the book, because I found it fascinating.
Well, I'll try to give it to you in the compressed form.
Yes.
So in 1976, I started meditating. I was still with the Inland Revenue, and then the TM people announced to us that teachers were required. So I had to find out, well, what does it take to become a teacher of meditation? And they said, no, you got to go and do a course. You have to do a course, you have to study, you have to be affiliated with the center. And I said, you know, guys, this is for me. You know, I could feel it. My heart just said, this is for me. And I kept on working in taxation, but I lost some of the drive. Because, you know, in those days, you had to pursue people. We were seizing people's banks accounts, taking out cash from them and stuff like that. And I found my nature kind of resisting that. You know, I think I'm really a teacher. My mother's a teacher. She taught you. Yeah. You know, my wife is a teacher. Heather has like 40 years teaching experience. You know, Athenia has taught also. So that's kind of maybe strong in my family, you know. And I'm also a musician. I'm a guitarist, you know, and composer. And I followed the course, and then one year after, I think about 2 years, they told me, well, okay, there's going to be a course in Trinidad where I would have to come and we would be in residence and really studying and so on. And I said, that's that. And I went to talk to one of the ministers, Mr. Christian, and I told him I want to become a teacher. And it just so happened he had started TM. And he said, Tony, I started TM, and this thing is good. We're going to help you, you know. And Mr. John from the government, the Prime Minister, said, we'll help you. And they helped me to get a little scholarship. And I went to Trinidad. I came back, I became a teacher, and I started becoming more and more affiliated with the center. And my mind is moving less and less and less on taxation
Right.
and taking people's accounts, you know. And then in 1979, Hurricane David struck. And after that, I could see we had to really rebuild Dominica. And Simon, I felt my life needed to go into upbringing people, you know, not fighting with them for taxes. And I resigned. I resigned from government. And I taught full time with the TM movement for 3 years for a little pittance, a tiny little salary, you know. And I have to give thanks to my family, you know, people like my brother Mario and Christine Cecilia. And they supported me. I could always get my lunch, Mario would lend me his transport. And my mother and father had also started meditation. And I had their support. And I pointed that out in the book. It is very important that when you embark on a spiritual journey, that you have the support of your parents. At that time, I also lived with my grandmother. One day, Simon, I forgot to do my meditation in the afternoon. And she sent for me, my granny. And she said, child, she always called me child. Child, she was 85. You didn't do your program. And I said, no, granny, I was very busy. She said, she wagged the finger. She said, but that is something that's very important. Go and do your program.
Yeah.
And I went and I did my program.
Now, how did you end up in India?
Right. So I ended up in India because I worked with the TM movement for a while, and then things started happening, more and more spiritual things. The spiritual path, Simon, is a big path, you know, and it comes from India. That's where it really comes from. And I am part Indian. You know, my genetics on my grandfather was a Venezuelan, but he was a mixture of the white French Toulon and an East Indian. So those things are inside of you. Those elements are inside of you. They're working inside of you. You know, for instance, the first time I touched a guitar, it was like touching a beautiful woman. It was a very powerful experience. The first time I touched the guitar, you know, and I looked at my hand and I said, "Wow!" I could almost feel myself playing it, and I
And
ended up
you speak so very powerfully about this because I've had the honor of having both Daryl Toulon as well
right.
as Arnold Toulon on the program, and it
Yeah,
just seems like it is part of genetics that you come from a family who's creative, who's into music, into arts, into creating, content like Daryl does as an international performance art director, as Arnold does as an artist extraordinaire, a musician, a songwriter. So I
right.
do believe that these things are genetically a part of us. And
Yeah,
here you are thinking you were going to be a tax person, but you followed your calling. And I think it is so important for all of us to listen to that voice that says, this is your purpose, this is your calling. Now, how are you going to manifest that? So I'm really happy that you're part of the program this afternoon, and we cannot wait to hear all about more of just how everything came together for you. But I noticed that the book says volume number 2. Can you tell us about volume number 1?
well, this is volume number 1. Gardens of Athenia, a collection of poetry And at the time when I did this, I worked with a company called Vantage Press. Vantage Press unfortunately went bankrupt. But I own all the material, and actually they were really nice to actually speak to me and tell me that things were not going well with them. And I took back everything that is mine. So I hold a U.S. international copyright on the material in this. Simon, there's the regular copyright where you can just write, I claim copyright. But we went to the copyright office in the US and claimed copyright status for the book. So rather than waste the book, because the demand started picking up, and indeed, in the Caribbean, I sold over 1,200 copies of the book
Very
myself.
nice. And what
But,
is in volume one? What is in volume one?
well, I took a lot of what's in volume one and put it in volume two. So
I see.
poetry, yeah, but it's poetry. There are
Okay.
no illustration. There are a lot of things I wanted to do, but my hands were tied. I couldn't do it. So when I wrote volume two, I said, you know what? I need to present my life in a holistic manner. So that if I drop dead tomorrow, someone will know, okay, well, this is what is driving the man, and this is
Yes.
what he wanted to accomplish, and this is
Right.
what he accomplished. You know, I am also known for the creating um, this product, which is the oil of Ojas. Athenea's gonna,
Mm.
yeah.
Yes, all of, yep, got it. Oil of Ojas, Ojas. Uh-huh. And tell us about it.
And one day I had these things are called cognitions, okay? And in the Vedic science in which I'm trained, there are different methods of learning. You can pick up this book and or you can see it in your mind. You're a creative person, you probably know what I'm saying. But the
Yes.
people like Arnold and Darrell know that, you know. So an artist like Arnold can stay and see the picture in a very faint form because thought is a subtler form of action, right? So we think first. Let's say suddenly, Simon, you just felt thirsty. Where did that thought come from? That thought started deep inside of you, right? And your kidneys did something, your intestines did something, your stomach does something, and it all trickles up into the brain and into the thinking process, and then it crystallizes, my God, I'm thirsty.
Yes.
And then you perform action. You get up and you walk across to the fridge and you pour yourself a glass of water. So, like that, one day I was going down to work and I had this great vision and I saw this oil and I knew that I was going to make it. And Simon, I saw the formula. I've never forgotten the formula.
And what do you use the oil for?
It is for muscular aches and pains, strains, pull muscles, joint problems, cold, COVID, sinus problems, backache. And I kept it for 21 years, Simon, and then I sold the rights over to Jolly's Pharmacy. So
Okay.
they now manufacture it.
Yeah, and,
Wow.
and I'm getting reviews on the Facebook Live about it. So Tina Bell says, I still have a bottle of Tony's original oil of
Wow.
Ojas, and Charlene White Christian. The oil of Ojas is excellent. A very good rub for muscle pain. So we're having reviews. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So
And
I noticed the word Athenia. I know your daughter's name is Athenia, and now you have two books with that title. What is the significance of that name,
well,
Athenia?
well, the significance of that is that in meditation,
Oh no, I think I lost them. Okay, guys, hang on. I'm gonna try to reconnect with Anthony and Athenia. Let me try to reach them on the phone. because we were just enjoying a conversation. So stay right where you are. Don't leave. We're going to have to get them back. You disconnected. So let's try to get them back on. And I want to thank everyone who's joining us right now. Oh, there they are. So let's do this again.
So what
That's okay.
happened? Sorry.
Technology, it happens.
Yeah. Where was I? I got lost.
Yeah, you were talking about the significance of the word Attainea.
Right. You know, normally, right? In meditation, when you just start, you meditate 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. And that's good. That's the way to start. But with the years, as the years pass, and particularly when I went to India, then my gurus, my masters, started increasing my program time, like to an hour and 2 hours, and sometimes 3 hours. You know, yeah. And we were doing very advanced techniques. You know, knowledge of the past, the present, and the future. Knowledge of the planets. What are the planets doing? How are they affecting us? The science of Jyotish. Then I studied a lot the science of Ayurveda. But you can study with the eyes closed. It's a very special, unique way of learning that came from India. You know, and in deep meditation there, my guru had me waking up, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning to start my program, you know. And the first time this happened, I was in India. The first time this happened, I got irritated. I said to myself, you know, this is too early. I'm not just getting up so early. I don't mind 5 o'clock, you know, but 3, you know. And a saint appeared, Simon, in the ear in front of me and touched me on the forehead with his prayer bead. And I understood immediately that in India, program starts at 3 o'clock. If you're serious about the program, you know. And I woke up. I went to the washroom, I washed my face, I sat in my bed, I pulled my blanket around me, and I sank into deep, deep, deep meditation. And it was in the process of meditation that I wrote the first poem, Athenia. Athenia wasn't born yet, but I heard the mantra, Athenia, Athenia, Athenia.
Does it have a meaning?
It has a meaning, but the meaning is full of love and goodness and enlightenment and evolution. But it doesn't just mean this.
Right.
You know? It is deeper than that. It's deeper than that, and it requires your intuition.
And of course, we must spend a couple of minutes to acknowledge everyone who's joining us via Facebook Live. Unfortunately, Darren had to get on a train, so he'll be sure to catch the rest of the program. Darren, thank you for being here. KM, congratulations, Anthony and Attainea. Very happy for you both. Roslyn is here. She said, yes, I remember it all, so that's good. Tony used to practice at my home together, strumming away. Rosita White is up with us in the UK, and I'm happy we can do some of our programs earlier for those who join us from around the world. David Bertrand, good night. Simone listening. Hey, Dave, nice to see you. Let's see who else we have. Rosita, time, space, and our place in the universe. It's all about energies. The concept is not easy to understand. So kind of just tell us the person you became, Anthony, from your experience with meditation and sort of just tuning into the universe and tuning into your own internal thoughts. How did that help you to become the person that you are today?
That these things shape you. They shape you. They give a focus to your life. They give you a direction, and they give you things to do. And I'm using this very carefully because, you know, Simon, one of the things that I did while I was at the TM Center in Dominica we started a drug rehabilitation program. And I'm making this very clear. I'm not into smoking marijuana. I'm not into drugs. A lot of people sometimes see me happy and think that I'm high on something. I'm not. I'm not. It's my natural bliss coming out from deep inside of me. And eventually, and I discussed this in the book, I gave a rehabilitation program in the prison. The superintendent was also a meditator, Mr. Charter, spoke to me about it. And one day, there was a criminologist from the United States, Steve. And Steve came to me and he said, I need your help. And I said, Steve, how can I help you? And at that time, I was a businessman because after the program of meditation in Dominica came to an end, they told us we would have to go back to work, and I started my own business. But that's a big story. But I was running the business and still finding time to teach and to do rehabilitation and take people off marijuana. Heroin and cocaine were not yet in Dominica. And they asked me to come to the prison to give a lecture. And I went. I went up to the prison, I gave a lecture. And you need to know this. There was one of the prisoners there who had robbed my home.
Wow.
And he had stolen my guitar and my wife's perfumes, expensive perfumes I bought for her in Guadeloupe. You know? And he put his head down like this and he wanted to talk to me. So the guard told me, you know, this prisoner wants to speak to you. So I said, okay, let me talk to you. And he told me, I'm the one who robbed your home. I said, so you're the person. And then he asked me another question, did you get the guitar back? Because, you know, Simon, that is what I was most angry about, not the money, the guitar. You know, that particular guitar, I have it nearly 40 years. It's a Fender Stratocaster. And I told him, I said, okay, you know, I got the guitar back. I did. The police found it, and they brought it for me. And I said, I got the guitar back. And then I looked at him and I said, do you want to join my course? And he said, yes. So I gave him a break, and he joined my course. And I taught the course for 3 months in the prison. We had to narrow it down to 10 prisoners. But at the end of it, the superintendent gave, I think, about 8 of them early release. He was very pleased with their progress.
Yeah, so a lot of it is also about forgiving.
Well, a lot of it is forgiving, but 90% of it is technique. I was teaching them a specific breathing technique, plus a yoga technique, and then I gave them the meditation.
Right, excellent.
They could feel the addiction urge. I'm using my English carefully. The addiction urge, they could feel the addiction urge, letting go of them.
Right. Wow, and that's pretty significant.
Yes, and a lot of them, the aggression that I first had to deal with in the opening month and a half, that died away and disappeared. And they came out and went back into activity. 2 came to thank me later on, about a year later. 2 came back to thank me. But as you know, I live just in the town. So they came
right in the middle of Roseau, yeah.
And my store was just opposite. They came to thank me for assisting them. Now hear the rest of this. I then got called to Barbados because I had students in Barbados. I was teaching also in Barbados. And I was sort of balancing, Simon, my activities with running a business and being a roofing contractor and running Oil of Ojas and teaching.
Kept you busy. Now let's talk about the Gardens of Athenia Volume 2. So you have it with you. It's quite a masterpiece. It's quite a thick book. What can we expect? And then we're going to talk about how can we get a copy. So what can we expect in Volume 2? What's included in there?
Well, in Volume 2, the first thing I started off with is I paid honor and tribute to my dad, my father. That's the first thing I did. So that's the first essay that's there. And then I have the old poems from some from the first gardens of Athenia, others that I had. I have them in the book. And then I have a section with the new poetry. And then I have growing up in Dominica and in the Caribbean. And, and let me point this out to you. Although I wrote from a Dominican perspective, my experience, my teachers are universal. And I was just pointing this out to a lady in Tobago. I wrote for the world. I wrote for the entire world. And Simon, you should also know that I've already had about maybe 40% of this book translated into French because I deal a lot in Martinique and Guadeloupe. And, my ancestry is part français and part French. Je parle un peu de français aussi, and I have family, Toulon family in Martinique. So I have those contacts. So my intention next year, this is for next year, is to have the entire book translated into French so the French people can enjoy it. So then I have growing up in the Caribbean. I had at one point we had an exploratory group when we were young called ISOSN. Rosalind was part of that group, so she knows that well. And Theodore Green and people like that. And of course, my brothers and sisters were part of that group. And we climbed Mont Diablotin, Mont Trois Pitons, Mont Nicotril. We went to the Boiling Lake 10 or 15 times. We went to Tito Gorge, my brothers can tell you, as in my youth, I was at home in the forest. I never felt difficult in the forest. I never got lost in the forest.
Very nice.
I have laughed because, one second.
Yes, you're in the middle of Roseau, we understand.
Yeah. I have laughed because our group did have an experience coming from the Boiling Lake where we lost 4 girls. Yeah. And my sister Kathy was one of them, and my wife Heather, her sister Clairon. And I asked Clairon to write her experience, and she did. It's in the book also.
But eventually you guys found them, right? You didn't lose them permanently.
Well, we left, Mario, myself, Andrew Dupili. We left early in the morning, 4 o'clock, to walk back on the trail. But the defense force had been called out, and the defense force slept in the forest. They slept in the forest, yes, on the cold grass above the Valley of Desolation. And in the mountain, in the morning, at about 5:36, they found the girls before us.
Oh, wow.
Well,
that's good news. That's good news. Now, I also noticed that you attained #1 new release on Amazon. How did that feel? And just tell us about how you even got to that point.
Yeah, well, it feels really good. And I'm trained in sales. You notice probably my training is multi. I've done many different things. At one point, I used to go through the Caribbean as a traveling salesman. I represented 2 big companies from the States. And I know what it's like to just call in people and say, hi, good morning. My name is Anthony Toulon. I'm from Dominica. I represent A, B, and C. We sell A, B, and C. I learned how to do that sort of thing. So there's a lot of pre-advertisement. I haven't gone into the big advertisement yet, but there's a lot of pre-advertisement that I did. And the people who know me, Simon, the people who are in our group, like Rosalind, all these people, they were anxiously waiting to buy a book.
Yeah, but it's also within the Caribbean as well. It's modern sales in Dominica, right?
I think the people from I'll tell you, it wasn't 2 or 3 days that we had sales from Canada. I looked at this, on Amazon, you can check your specifics.
Yes.
Your distribution and your specifics. We had sales from Canada, we had sales from the US, we had sales from Dominica, we had sales from, where am I again? The United States and the UK.
Wow, congratulations. Now tell us why it was important, and I want to speak to Athenia before we wind down, but why was it important to ensure there was a portion in the book dedicated to Athenia?
Well, Athenia started composing poetry, and I'm speaking carefully. She started composing poetry between 5 and 6 years old, which is very unusual for a child. Simone, she could not write her thoughts. So she couldn't say, I love you, daddy. She couldn't write that, but she could say it, so she could hear it in her mind. So she would tell me, like, daddy, 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 I have a poem, I have a poem. And, I remember once I was at Papillote having a bath. I had to get it, a napkin. And luckily, I always have a pen in my shirt. I
Yes.
always have a pen. So I pulled on my pen and I got a napkin and I started to write down a little poem. And we held on to her poetry. We held on to her poetry, and later on, we had my secretary type it up. And I said, no, Tanya needs to have her section in the book. So I showcased some of her work. And I would
Yes,
like her
yes.
to take it on. I would like her to take it on. I can write, her dad can write. Arnold writes well, Daryl writes well, Mario writes well. It's there. It's there in the
Yeah,
family.
it's genetics. It's genetics. I think certain families of people are just called just gifted with certain skills and talents, and it's wonderful to see how the Tula family has just embraced their calling and their purpose and are able to just fill our world with beautiful light. Do you mind if I speak to Athenia?
Sure. So we'll change places.
Yes.
Hello, good
Is your
night.
puppy?
Yes, I have my little puppy with me.
Oh, that is so cute.
Getting,
How are you?
she was getting jealous. Her name is Angel.
Oh, hi, Angel.
So
How are you? She's
just
part of
got
the live
going.
now. How are you doing, Athenia?
I'm doing great. How are
Yes,
you?
good. I'm well. Tell us who you are.
Okay, so my name is Attainea Toulon. I am a legal professional. I am an educator. I taught for 3 years at the grammar school. I went back after the grammar school and I did my master's in law. And I'm currently a supervisor in operations at Clare Harbor, working with customer service. I am a very creative person. I'm a writer as well. Um, and yeah, so that's who I am.
Right. So it seems like the genetics continues into you as a tool, all right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. I can't run and hide from it. It's there. Like even artistic skills. A lot of
Yes.
members of the family are artists. Uncle Arnold's an artist. Uncle Daryl's an artist. Uncle Mario does his photography. Auntie Robbie does her cake making. So we have, yes, Auntie Christine was into soap making. So was Uncle Paul. So we are very very creative people.
Yes,
Definitely.
and it's beautiful because you get to beautify the world. But tell us about your experiences at the age of 5 and 6 creating poetry. What did that feel like for you?
So I always wanted to be like my dad. I always admired my dad, and we have a close bond. And I remember the launching of his poetry. I believe I was maybe the first Gardens of Athenia. I believe I was about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I was about 3 or 4, and I had to memorize a poem called "Pretty Little Butterfly." And I had to perform it, and I performed it at the alias process. And from since then, I wanted to be just like my daddy. I wanted to do what he did, and I would, like you said, call upon him or call upon mom and just dictate a poem and tell them, these were the thoughts that just came up from me naturally. I remember being at Papillon. I remember a lot of my early childhood days, being at Papillon and wanting to dictate that poem to my parents. It just came up from me naturally from the environment. If you've ever been to Papillon, it's a beautiful
It
environment.
is. It
So,
is.
so yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel that your dad's writing is named after you? I mean, he could have picked any topic in the world to name his books. Are you an only child, by the way?
I am.
Okay, because I was about to say, how do your siblings feel about that? It's a good thing you're an only child.
I was told that from a young age that my dad, because I knew my name was very unique, a lot of
Yes.
times will comment upon it and say, "Oh, where did you get that name from?" Or they would liken it to the name Athena, the Greek goddess, and I tell them, "No, it's Attainea," and they want to know, where that name came from, what it meant. And I told him my dad heard it in meditation, and he said that if he had a daughter, he would name her Athenia. So I'm proud of my name, and I'm happy that I guess I'm named after the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it begs the question: will you be the dominant author in volume number 3?
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Um, uh, Writing a book is a huge undertaking.
It is.
And, I've seen my dad work countless hours, and I always say he's a genius. I tell my friends that my dad's a genius. He just reads through things like super fast. He's super efficient with his work. And if I always say if I could be half as smart as him, then I've done well in life. So hopefully, at a certain point in life when I'm ready to write a book, yes, maybe I would be the dominant author in
right. And you speak so very well of the importance of being important role models for our children. Because here you were 3 and 4 years old, and all you kept thinking is you want to be like your daddy. So I think it speaks very well of the role that we as parents play to ensuring that what our children want to aspire is something good and not something bad.
Definitely. My parents have been a tremendous influence and support in my life. And, I look at other people who may not have been as fortunate, and they have to work twice as hard to get to where they want to be. So if you have the support of your family, of course, that's going to be much better for you, much better for generational wealth.
Absolutely.
It's another topic for, I believe, Black people, Black and colored people definitely need to talk about, so.
Yeah, well, congratulations on following your DNA.
Thank you so much.
And being an artist, a creative, an educator, like the rest of your family. So it was great speaking with you, Athenia. And of course, we're always linked through Messenger, so we'll be in touch.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, let me talk to your dad.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Angel.
Bye.
Oh, Anthony, you must be so proud of Attainea.
Well, yes, I am, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of just tell us where we can get a copy of the book. I'm going to pull up the Amazon link so everyone can see where you can get a copy of the book, what to look for. So kind of just tell us about how we can get a copy of your book.
All right. Well, the first thing is to you can pull up the Amazon search bar, and you can type in the name of the book. Then the book will come up. If that doesn't work, you can type in my name, Anthony Toulon. If not, you can type in Athenea's name, Attainea Toulon, and the book will come up. And you will see that it's available in 2 formats. The first format on the left-hand side is the ebook Kindle, and the price is really very good. It's $9.99 US. And you can download it, and here it is now. Simon, I'm thinking in terms of sales, all right? So if, let's say, like you're in Trinidad, where the currency is weaker to the US, the book costs $45.50 US, so paperback. So that might be prohibitive in certain countries, but it's easier to come up with the $9.99 US. And in Dominica, when I have copies coming in, because we're going to have a launch, I want to have a proper launch, just as I had in my first book, around mid-January. If the book should reach about mid-January, and then I would organize a proper physical launch, and I will have physical books that I can sign and write all sorts of nice things in it.
Yeah, so it's currently not available in Dominica until January. Is that what you're saying?
To get it in Dominica, you have to order yourself. So there
Through Amazon.
are people who are already doing that.
Good.
There are people who are ordering the ebook in Dominica. So that just takes a couple hours and it's with you. And in addition to that, you have no customs to deal with.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea to get the e version, because you get it within minutes.
Within minutes, you have it.
Yep.
You have no delivery, no nothing, no customs broker, nothing like that. The book is a little different. The book, you may have to pay duty. In Dominica, we have VAT, value added tax, which will be about, I think, about 20% when you add up the different charges. Come to about 20%. And you may have to through somebody to get it.
Right. And one of the things we try to do with this program is to keep people encouraged who have important life goals. So I always think it's important for us to talk about the challenges that you faced along the way, the importance of family support. So what can you tell us about some of the challenges? I know you talked about the hurricane that destroyed a lot of the materials. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, the hurricane was a major challenge. After that, it becomes your direction. The direction of your energy. I have energy. I have good energy. So when in the morning, although I'm retired, in the morning I get up every morning, Simone. I shave, I bathe, I dress properly. I put on some nice perfume that I've made myself, and you can't see it so well here, but I have a little office downstairs. And I present myself for what? This is my father's training. And my mother too, my mother's training.
And you're so correct, Anthony, because I think a lot of times we don't realize the power of the morning. The power of the morning in terms of getting yourself together, because now a lot of us work from home.
Right.
And we spend so much time dragging around the house. It's important to get up and get prepared for the day, because that is how you conquer the day.
That is how you conquer. Carpe diem. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Seize the day. You have to seize the day.
Right.
You have to seize the day.
Yeah. Now, what would you say?
I've already done my meditation. It's all part of my discipline. I may have gotten up at 5 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock, and do my meditation. So I don't like being disturbed in my program, Simone. That annoys me, irritates me. So I sit quietly and I do my program. I do all what I have to do. I do my prayers, and then I ask the Lord Almighty, give me a direction for my day. And then I get up, I get out of the bed. Can't accomplish anything lying down in the bed.
Amen.
Get out of the bed, and I shave, I bathe. Cold water, no hot water.
Cold water.
Cold. And I have breakfast, and I switch on the computer. It's a routine. You're at home, but you mustn't fall asleep. You switch on the computer, turn on the fan, you feed the fish, make sure the dogs are okay. My wife is already up because she has to teach her students by 7:45.
Yeah.
So,
and especially since you live in Roseau, I would think it would be even more important to wake up early before the noise of all the city starts flooding into your home.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Right, absolutely. So seizing the day, a very important lesson for all of us.
It's important. Especially those disciplines are very important, Simon, because we are a developing nation. And the whole Caribbean is a developing nation. And you cannot accomplish anything lying down in the bed. Right? So the bed is to sleep. When you're finished sleeping, you get up, you start whatever you do. You pray, you meditate and pray, you do it, you take a shower, you dress, and you're ready.
Well, you'll be happy to know that Yanni can't wait to read your book, and Rosalind already has a copy, so I can see. So what has been the general response, the general feedback?
The feedback has been wonderful. Feedback has been wonderful. I have brought out very private experiences that most people on my path, the yogis on my path, have not always brought out. Some of them are secrets, Simon, that I've treasured inside of me that not even my father and mother know about. You know, some of my spiritual experiences started very young. You know, the first time my master appeared to me was I was maybe 8 years old. I was under a pool of water, and there was this bright light, and I saw my master, and he suspended my breathing. I did not breathe in water. I didn't gasp. And we spoke about the evolution of the earth and the things that were coming. Things that really an 8-year-old should not even be talking about. You know? So I felt now is the time to do that. And people who have read some of my work or listened to me speak have told me, you know, we've had similar experiences. And I said, yeah, I put it in the book so that I can reinforce your feeling. You know? And that's very important.
Powerful.
You know, on the spiritual path, you must have infinite self-awareness and infinite amount of confidence. You must be very confident. If you lose that confidence, it will slip away from you.
Right. And I can certainly see why you would have kept a lot of the information to yourself, because as you mentioned, you know, a lot of times people look at you and you're so happy and they wonder if you're high. So it almost becomes you internalize it because you don't want people, you know, thinking that you're on something. But I'm happy you shared it in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, as we get
before we run out of time, there's a very important project that I did. I have a teeny weeny little bit of Kalinago blood. Athenia has more than me, but I have a teeny bit of Kalinago blood, and I'm also part Indian. And as I've told my Kalinago friends, Kalinago come from India, not from South America. Come from India.
I thought we were from South America.
No, it traveled through South America.
Okay.
And my master, Guruji Ravi Shankar, one of my masters, Guruji Ravi Shankar, I actually brought him physically to Dominica in the Carib territory. Not many people know about that. In the Carib territory to meet my students. And I was able, with his guidance and his permission, I was able to bring the Kalinago people of Dominica the meditation free of cost.
Oh, nice.
Very important thing I did. I don't boast about it, but it's a very important project that I did.
Right. And, you know, I think that is one of the reasons I'm so gung-ho about, you know, the strength of our identity, because I'm part Kalinago as well. So I'm Kalinago, Black and European. And I think it's so important for us to just tap into everything that our ancestors had to survive in order for us to be here today. So I'm very passionate about knowing your identity, knowing where you come from, knowing what your people survived, and how that is a part of you. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very comfortable with the Caribbean. Many of them are my friends. They come here, they have tea with me. If I have lunch, they have lunch. I've been in territory, I'm hungry, I've sat with them, I've ate with them, I've slept with them. It is no big thing.
Yeah. And, you know, as we get ready to wind down, I just have one more question for you. And that is, what would you say to someone who is out there? They have an important life goal, such as writing a book like you did, but they just seem stuck. They don't, you know, they're not motivated. What would you say to them about getting motivated and, you know, just grabbing the bulls by the horn?
You have to unglue yourself. You have to unstick yourself. Get up one of these fine days and take a pen and paper and write down what you're planning. You know, because you're going to have one of two situations. One of them, maybe you have the manuscript written. That's one. Maybe you don't have the manuscript. or three. Maybe you have bits and pieces that are written. I'll never forget when I was writing the first Gardens of Athenia, Vantage people told me to put all my poems on the ground. Get a big room and put all the poems on the ground. And start to pick up which is the most important. And then another day, put all those most important ones on the ground and start to pick them up by time. Because you know, when you write, and I always did that, if I wrote a poem, I dated it, you know, so that you can understand the chronology. But there's also the theme. Okay, so in other words, if I'm writing about you, Simone, and then my next poem is about crabs, those two things are not tied together. But my fourth poem, I might write about Simone again. So you must tie them together. And then one of the things I had to do, publishing on Amazon is a big step, and it's something that you have to understand. So I joined three schools. Three schools. I went to the internet and I joined up with three schools to understand what does it mean to self-publish your book. Because Amazon is doing a certain amount, but there's also a certain amount, which is the merchandising, the advertising, etc., that you have to do to help the whole thing to work.
Yep, and I had to go through that process as well because I'm self-published on Amazon.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Yeah, and you know, the way I like to answer that question I just asked you is the importance of being consistent, because so many of us have so many important life goals, but it's the importance of what you said, getting prepared in the morning, being consistent. And that's why many times people ask me, why is my platform called Push Past 10? Because of the significance of the first 10 minutes. If you can get through the first 10 minutes of anything every day, it gives you momentum to push through and get through whatever your assignment is for that day. And then before you know it, the entire project is completed. So thus, push past 10. I get that a lot.
I have to say that this project is a monumental piece of work.
Yes.
And I could tell you, Simone, the designer, I don't know if you know her. Her name is Giselle. Giselle Laurent. Giselle Laurent. Yeah. So I honored her in the book. She generated no less than 10 blueprints. Now, bear in mind that every time that blueprint comes to the author, you have to read it. Because there's going to be a mistake.
Right.
And you have to spot it. You know? So to do a work of that size and of that complexity, you need to have a lot of energy. And you have to motivate your people, eh? But don't forget they have other projects working on.
Absolutely. Yep, they do. They do. So as we get ready as we get ready to wind down, you have any final thoughts for us?
Yes, and you know, it's I'm very glad to be on your show.
Thank you.
And I realize that I've done something that's unique. And one of the things people will find when they read my book, that it's not about unhappiness and suffering and being beaten and being whipped. It's not about that. So if you're looking for that, don't read the book. Because that is not my background.
Right.
That is not my background, right? I'm born a very happy child. And in Dominica, I saw infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. And I looked forward to every new day. Every day was going to be very interesting. You know, and even when I got up, you know, and it seems it's very strange, Simone, from young, I've been getting up early. I would get up early and I would wish for a really nice, interesting day to come. But by all means, before you buy the book, you can go to Amazon. You can take the ebook. You can open it without paying any money. You can open it and you can read some of the things that are there, and you can see the table of contents. One of them is really interesting. It's my first confession.
Oh boy. We'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
So I want to thank everyone who joined us today, everyone on Facebook Live, YouTube, as well as everyone who will listen to this program on Untapped Potential on TDN Radio. And we say good evening, Jennifer Davis. I see you join us listening from St. Martin. So we get folks from all over the world on this program. And Tina says, I hope you can also sing as well as your dad did. My mom keeps telling me how well your dad sang, Anthony.
Yes, Daddy was a gifted singer.
Yes.
If someone was to ask me what are the two great talents he had three talents. He was a painter, he was a singer, and he was a woodworker. Today, Simon, when you come back to Dominica, all the chairs you'll sit on in my drawing room, the table that you'll have lunch on with me, were made by my father.
Wow.
Although he had this big job that he was controller of inland revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Well, I can certainly say that you all have made him proud by continuing the legacy of just being talented and using your talent to bring light to the world. Rosalind actually says, I'm seeing so much of Uncle Francis Toulon in you talking. This is remarkable. We have Juliana Glasgow all the way from Guadeloupe. And she says, great conversation. And she's calling, I got to get her on this program. Juliana, I got to reach out to you. So again, Anthony, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the program. Yes, and we want to thank everyone who joined us for this very important Facebook Live #1 new release on Amazon, Mr. Anthony Toulon, The Gardens of Athenia. We also want to thank Athenia for being a part of the program.
You're welcome. That's my pleasure.
And Angel, tell Angel we said thank you for being a part of the program. And we look forward to engaging some more with the entire Toulon family as they continue to be a positive light in the world, because I think that is what we are all called to do. We're all called to live our purpose, right? Tap into our potential and be a positive light in the world. So Anthony, again, thank you for being with us, and everyone on Facebook, thank you for being with us. And we will see you again soon. Again, I am Simone Matthew, and you've been watching Push Past 10 Presents. So you take care.
All right, will do.
Thank you.